Hey there, groovy dudes and dudettes. This is Thomper Be Thompin', and in this video I want to share with you my experience on owning the Cooper Discover ST Maxx tires over the last 78,000 miles. I've had these tires in all sorts of different kind of terrain, so I'll be talking quite a bit about that. I'll give you some of the specs on these, share with you some of my likes and dislikes, and I'm really curious if you guys have any stories to share, experience with this particular hybrid tire, or perhaps one of the other hybrid tires, and see how they compare to this one in my review. So I have these mounted on my 2014 Toyota 4Runner. It's obviously kitted out with a little bit of extra gear, so I have probably about 500 pounds or so of extra weight. So every tire is going to be a little different depending on whatever vehicle it's mounted on. All right, so the Coopers that I have are in the 275/70/17 size, and they are E-rated, so they're a true 10-ply tire. And what's unique about these is that they do have a proper 3-ply sidewall. They have 3 polyester plies, and the first 2 run vertically like this, but then the third is at a slight angle of about 8 degrees or so, and that's going to give it a much stronger carcass and a lot better puncture resistance. So it'll be harder for sticks and rocks to get through those polyester plies when they're cross-hatched like that. These tires, they come out to about 32¼ inches when they're brand new, and they each weigh 59 pounds according to Cooper. So they are a hybrid mud tire, or all-terrain mud tire, but as you'll discover here a little bit later in my review, I think they tend to be a little bit more on the all-terrain side. So I do have 78,000 miles on these tires, and I could probably push them another 10,000 no problem and still pass inspection. I do a 5-tire rotation, so keep that in mind when doing the math on how many miles I'm getting out of these. The 5th tire, which is currently my spare, I took out of the rotation at about 40,000 miles because it developed a slow leak which requires air about once a month, and I just didn't really feel like doing that. So it's doing spare duty for now. So all said and done, I think I easily could have pushed this set of 5 tires to 85, 90, perhaps even upwards of 100,000 miles. I'm going to show you the tread depth next. Okay, so here's a quick little close-up of the tread depth. It's a little bit difficult to see, but you know, they're still well within safety standards. I might have been running these at a hair too high of pressure because my centers are a little bit lower than my outside lugs. I've been normally running them between like 37 to 40 psi, depending on whether I'm towing or something like that. But the tires have held up pretty well. They advertise some pretty strong cut and chip resistance for the compound, and I will say that that's pretty true. The only portions that are a bit chewed up really are the outside lugs. So you see on this front tire, these can get chewed up pretty easily, but overall the tread compound has held up really well, and I don't have many chunks or chips. So these bad boys are a little bit dirty, sorry about that, but here's the spare that I took off at about 45,000 miles. You can see it still has technically all of its sipes in there still. These outside ones, I know they run pretty deep. Some of them look like they run all the way down, so at least the outside lugs have full siping. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what I have put these tires through. I commute with this truck, I tow with this truck. I think on this set of tires I have approximately 10 to 11,000 miles of towing, approximately 3,000 pounds. I've taken these on hundreds of miles of gravel roads from between Virginia, West Virginia, Arkansas, Texas, all over the Southwest. We ran the Alpine Loop Trail in Southwest Colorado. We did Black Bear Pass with these tires. I usually air them down to about 10 to 12 psi, and I've never lost a beat on them. They do have pretty darn good traction when aired down to those levels. what else have I done? I've ran Slick Rock and Moab. We did several other trails through that area. And then we have done plenty of snow as well. So we'll take this thing up to the ski slopes a few times a year. But one quick story for you. Driving home from New Hampshire, we tried to get ahead of a blizzard, but we didn't do it in time. We didn't leave in time. And I drove no less than about 530 miles where I could not see any lines on the road because it was just completely covered in snow. And this truck tracked really well. I never fought for traction. I never slid. I respected the elements and drove pretty slow. But it got us home safe and sound. Never once was I worried for a second. So these tires do really excel in quite a different areas. However, it's not all good. For being a hybrid tire, I thought they would have been a little bit better in mud than what they really are. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not terrible. They do just fine in dirt and light mud, but when it gets pretty soupy, they're essentially, to me, is just as good as regular all-terrains. So obviously they're not a mud tire, so I'm not really too upset about that. I got the hybrid tire on purpose because I wanted that dual purpose tire. And the second big complaint I have with them is how bad they are on really, really slick surfaces. Now, I know that every tire is going to be bad on ice, right? Even snow tires, you're going to find some limitations on slick ice. But these things really do slide a lot. I'll give you two examples. If you're driving around in the city and you know the big steel plates that they use to cover up construction holes and such, well, if you come across a couple of them and they are wet and slick, it's as if you're driving on pure ice. So if you have to do any turning or braking or hard accelerations on those by chance, you will slide or you will spin. Secondly, driving over large bridges where they have those big metal connectors, I don't really know what they're called, but they're the big metal teeth that connect the bridge sections, and it's smooth metal for about 3 to 4 feet or so. Well, if I'm in fourth gear and only at about 2,500 RPM and I'm accelerating up those, they will definitely spin. I'm not mashing the throttle whatsoever, but they will break traction on that slippery metal surface, even when it's like 50, 60, 70 degrees out. And then they'll instantly bite and regain traction once I hit the pavement again. So again, I mean, a lot of tires like this are going to do that, but it's just a little bit alarming when it happens the first time. Now, all that said, probably the thing that I am most impressed with this tire is its wet weather performance. In the rain, I have never hydroplaned once. Now that could be a combination of the weight of my truck, the width of the tire. These are 275s, so you know this isn't like a 12-inch wide tire or anything. And it could be the silica infused tread compound, which I tend to believe is the case. I keep waiting for these things to start to be terrible in the rain, and it just doesn't happen. I have full confidence cornering, braking, and accelerating in any type of wet weather, even in the wintertime. So I will give it to Cooper that the silica infused tread compound on these tires, to me, is not a gimmick whatsoever. They really do shine in the rain. So like I said, I'm getting new tires here soon. I definitely could have pushed these a little further and have done so safely, but I found a deal that I just couldn't pass up. So in getting these next tires, I had to be brutally honest with myself. A mud terrain would be awesome to have. I really like the STT Pro. Toyo's got some great products. BF Goodrich, they have some great products. But I'm getting some all-terrains because I commute with this truck, I tow with this truck up over mountain passes in the wintertime, and I've got Maxx tracks and I've got a winch, and I can always get a tug off my brother's truck if I need to. So all-terrains should suit me just fine. They should improve my road experience, my towing experience. So I'm getting the Cooper Discover AT3 LTs, LTs, excuse me. So those will be getting here installed in the next few days, and I hope to make a video about that because I'm doing it through this unique company. I really want to share that experience with you guys. I got a killer deal on they must have had a sale on the tires, so getting the all-terrains next. I'm not really loyal to any brand. I've had good success with these Coopers, so I figured why not. If you guys have any recommendations for other types of all-terrains that have great wet weather performance and can do some light to moderate off-roading, please share your comments below. I would love to hear about that.